this is Siddharth Mehta. I am faculty of Verbal and English at Career Launcher. Today, I am going to discuss with you how to deal with literary passage. I think this is going to be a very important element for the language section of the upcoming CUET exam. So let us start with this video. Our session objective is to help you with the approach of solving literary passage. In other words, we also call them as fictitious or fictional passage, understanding few common type of questions that you can expect in such type of passage and how to approach the questions. So our session flow will be like this. First, I will discuss the context, hardly a minute or so, to why these passages are important for CUET exam. Second is the concept part, how these passages are different from the other passages that you come across, what are the common question types and how to approach these questions. And then I will demonstrate you with the help of a passage and 5 questions that how to attempt such passage. So first and foremost, the context part. Now, if you have seen the CUET syllabus or the CUET guideline, it talks about section 1A, language, that is the compulsory section. So CUET exam, they have said that the section 1 and 1A, actually, it is having these options and you can pick any one language. So English, Hindi, Gujarati, Bengali, so on and so forth. This is compulsory part. Section 1B is optional part. Section 1A of the language is compulsory part. I'm assuming, I may be wrong, that many students will pick English as the language in the section 1A. I am coming with the video on literary passage. Now, also, if you have gone through the syllabus, what they have described is language to be tested through reading comprehension based on different type of passages, factual, literary, narrative, aptitude and vocab, MCQ based questions. So this is the guideline that they have given. That means reading comprehension is going to be very, very important for the language section, that is compulsory. And also, although my video pertains to the English language, but trust me, all languages are basically the basic rules of solving comprehension in any language will be same. So there will be no difference if the same kind of passage comes in a Hindi language, approach will be similar. Although this video pertains to English, but then you can also, if you are picking Hindi as or Gujarati or any language, then the basics will remain same. So that's the context. It's a very, very important because everybody has to take this exam. Now, let us see what is the difference between literary and others. So this is important to understand how literary or fictional passages are different from others. So I'm saying that these fictional passages, they typically cover some personal experience, right? So maybe a person must have traveled to a particular place or sharing his own experience. Conversation, okay, between the two characters, it can come in that form. A scene of a story, a short story, or you know, an excerpt from a long story. Anything can come in a fictional or a literary passage. These passages typically deal with who and how. This you will realize soon that what do we mean by who and how. Basically, who means the character and how means how the story or how the conversation moves ahead. We will look at it in detail very shortly, in comparison to the other passages where usually author writes the passage to put forth a point. So there is a point of view that author wants to prove, or there is some analysis that he has done. So that's the purpose of writing normal argumentative or analytical passages that you come across in the editorial section of newspaper. And this is also going to be very important from the CUET point of view. We will discuss it in some other video. But here there is some purpose behind writing. In fictional passages or literary passages, there is no purpose as such. And the other passages that you normally come across, they deal with what and how, what is the purpose and how has author tried to achieve that purpose. You will find the questions around what and how. So let us move forward and see. So this is just an example of a scene. So what do we mean by when there is a passage on a scene? You can simply stop the video, have a quick look at it. No need to read it completely. If you want to read it, it's entirely up to you. But just to give you an idea that what do you mean by a scene in a literary passage, this is example of that. This is a personal experience. So there can be passage from a personal experience of a person, right? So you can again stop the video and maybe have a quick look at it. Right. Now the key elements. Now what is who and what is how? So let us see. Who means the character. Now the questions in the literary passage will be mostly around who and how. If we can understand that, then our job is done. What do we mean by who? Who means the character. So usually there will be some characters. So question can be asked around the traits or the qualities of that particular character. What kind of mood does the is the character means portraying in the passage, or is there any shift in the attitude of the character? Such kind of question. Relationship between the two characters, not in the sense of what is the relationship of person A with respect to person B, but whatever they are speaking each other in that regard. So there could be questions centered around the characters, and you will definitely find question around the attributes of the character in any fictional passage. There are limited questions, unlike in a normal passage. In fictional passage there are limited questions that the examiner can ask, although these passages are difficult as compared to normal passages to understand, but the questions are limited. So if we can understand the key things, how to solve questions on characters, our job will be done. The how part is the plot part. How has a story evolved? How has author evolved the entire stuff that he's trying to convey? So questions can be around the settings of the scene, of the plot. The question can be around the symbol. Usually what happens in such kind of fictitious passage, you will find a particular motive or particular theme, particular idea getting repeated time and again. So question can be around that what is the purpose of that motive, what is the purpose of that symbol. And literary devices. Literary devices means author has used several figure of speeches in the passage. So question can be around that. So what figure of speech author has used, or you need to know what are the common figure of speech, for example, simile, metaphors, oxymoron. All these kind of things you need to know, but these are the common elements of a literary passage. Now what are the things to do, how to approach them? Very important. I will always suggest, although you can have your own way, but I will always suggest read the questions first. Why to read the questions first? Because if I know that a question has been asked on the attribute of a character, wherever the character description comes, I need to slow down and focus more. Read the question first. Identify the narrator, whether narrator is a character or author himself. Of course, what can happen is that the character himself and or character and author both are same person. So you need to understand that, because the question can be asked from that angle, whose angle the question has been asked. Or author is the third person, and he has written a passage. So it's typically a kind of short story where the author is not part of the story. So you need to understand that very basic thing. Differentiate between the opinion of the narrator and characters. Now this is very important to understand. So for example, I have written a short story, right, and I have written about a particular character. So that's the opinion of the author. Now, another character of the same story talks about a particular character. That is opinion of the character of the story. Of course, the author is portraying his own opinion through character, but just to differentiate that who is saying what, because when the question is being asked, you need to understand from whose point of view the question is asked. Everything written is, of course, from the point of view of the author itself. Author frames the character to put forth his point. So don't get into that confusion. Simply, who is saying what? If I have to describe it, who is saying what? This is important to understand, because when the question comes, this will help us. While reading the passage, focus on the adjectives used to describe characters. Very important. What adjectives are used to describe characters? How will you guess? How will you evaluate the attitude of the character? You will evaluate through the adjectives used to describe that particular character. That's why adjectives are very important in such passages. Keep a broad sense of plot and setting, symbol, mood description. Broad sense is okay. You don't have to understand each and every line. It is virtually impossible. If a scene is given, it is not possible to understand each and every line in a limited time period. So you don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. Just keep a broad idea about what is happening. That should be good enough, because when the question comes, you anyways will have to go back and check it. Now, what are the different types of question? Question number one, direct question. Now, direct question is on facts or a specific idea mentioned in the passage. Very simple to answer. Question will be around some fact. You simply have to go back, scan and mark. Best thing to do. Never mark based on your memory, because these are the simplest question to answer. So you need to ensure that you get them right. If you don't get them right, then you are missing point against the others who will be doing so. So give some 10 seconds more. You just have to go back and check once, rather than relying on your memory. Second type of question is the contextual vocab question. So they can ask question on the usage of the particular word. If you know the meaning, mark it. You don't have to go back and check. If you don't know the meaning, go back and try to evaluate the meaning, try to understand the meaning as far as the entire passage is concerned. That's the only way you can do so. If it is used for character, or if it is used to describe the mood, try to understand what is the overall portrayal of the character that author is trying to depict. That will help you to eliminate few options. If you know the word, you can mark it. It's easy to do. Background questions, very important, and these are difficult. On the plot, symbol, setting, or relation. So what kind of motive is getting repeated? Why this particular thing has been used as a symbol in the entire plot? Of course, it has some significance. So the question relates to that. So relate with the overall happening in the passage and then mark. So when questions are asked on the settings or symbol or the relation, try to understand what is happening in the passage from a very broad perspective, and try to relate it, that why this is coming time and again. There has to be some link. That link you have to find out. I will demonstrate it to you. Next is the function question. What happens here is that a particular sentence from a passage is given, and you are being asked that what is the purpose of this text. So a text is given. You should always try to sum up the situation. Whatever text is given, you sum it up and try to correlate it with the entire passage. So summing up of the text becomes important here. Literary device. What kind of writing technique author is used? What is the tone that author is used? Okay, so here it becomes important for us to again know the various types of tone, various types of figure of speeches. If I don't know that, then there could be a problem. So I have to prepare for it. Focus on the tone. Sometimes prior knowledge is required. If you don't have prior knowledge, then there could be a problem. The last is on characters, on the traits of the character, likes or dislike of a particular character, how to do it. Focus on the adjectives that is being used to describe the character. So these are some common type of questions. Of course, we need to practice. This is just how to approach. But till the time we practice, we are not going to understand. So what I have done is I will demonstrate it through a passage. These are the 5 questions. Why I have shown question first? Because as I said, it is better, in my opinion, to read questions first in such kind of passages. You can have a quick look at the question. You can stop the video and read all the 5 questions before we move to the passage. Right, I'm sure you must have done that. Now, this is the passage. Obviously, this passage I have shown before also in an example of a scene. So if you have read it, then of course you can move to the question. If you have not read it, you can stop the video now, give it a minute's time or so, and then proceed to solving the questions. Right, so I'm sure you must have read it by now, and let us go to the questions. Which of the following suggest a synonymous meaning to the words providence and crescendo? So this is a contextual vocab question. Okay, so if I know the meaning, I should mark it directly. I know the meaning of crescendo. It means height. It means something related to height. So let me look at second option. Apex. Apex means height. Nadir means the lowest point. So this cannot be the answer. Prudence means intelligence. This cannot be the answer. Upsurge means on the rise. So I mean probably, but second best to apex. All right. Providence. Suppose if I don't know the meaning, right? So one word, if you know the meaning, we have come to eliminate it. Let me demonstrate. If I don't know the meaning, how will I do that? Providence. Where is it being used? It's used here. I have highlighted it. Let me read the entire sentence. He had often looked with wonder at the rock and mewed bitterly and resentfully, as men does in the face of a forbidding providence. All right. So this is, of course, with respect to cat, and it is saying that cat has meowed bitterly and resentfully, negatively. Then that means something negative, as men does in the face of forbidding providence. So when will men resent? Forbidding providence. Something negative word has to come. Forbidding providence. A negative word has to come because it has been compared. Men's face in a forbidding providence situation has been compared with bitter and resentful action of a cat. So word has to be negative. I know the meaning of word nemesis. Nemesis means something that punishes me, something which is problematic to me. So this looks a very good choice. Remember, apex is a better choice than upsurge anyways. So answer has to be A, right? That's how you do solve such questions. The passage has been adorned with numerous figure of speech. See, a question on figure of speech. Which of the following combination is correct? If I don't know the meaning, then there is a problem. So it's better to know such common figure of speech. Irony and sarcasm. Sarcasm means indirect humor, indirect pinching statement being made. So that is not given in the passage. So I can easily eliminate it. Alliteration and pun. Pun is also similar, indirect talk of something. So this cannot be the answer. Simile and personification. Simile means comparing two things which are unlike, using these statements like as, like, so on and so forth. Yes, there are similes in the passage. Personification means giving human characteristic to inanimate objects, animals, or so on and so forth. So this is a good choice. Both the things are given, and that is why answer is option number C. Metaphor and onomatopoeia. So better than, of course, there is one use of onomatopoeia also, which is meowed. Onomatopoeia means it represents a sound. All right. So answer here is C, which is better representation of the usage, because personification is there throughout the passage. So that is why it is C. And look at the question. It has been adorned with numerous figure of speeches. There are numerous. Which of the following combination is correct? So it gives me answer comes as C, because simile is used rather than metaphor there. Next, the passage best demonstrates which one of the following motives of cat's life. A question based on the settings, the recurring theme. Motive means recurring idea that is coming time and again. It's based on setting. So if you look at it, what is recurring again and again is cat's wait. Cat is waiting. Author has described it as inconceivable patience and persistency of the race, that is the cat. Again, here also. So he sat down and waited, and he waited till the white knight. Waited. Everywhere it is that. So answer is a never ending wait. Remember, motive means an idea which is getting repeated again and again. So C is getting repeated again and again. That is why answer is C. So if you know the meaning of the word, it becomes so simple. The author's description of he was under no constraint of human will, for he was living alone, implies. So here it has said that. So it's a direct question. I can go and check. Then too, he was under no constraint of human will, for he was living alone that winter. Cat's absolute freedom from everything can never be the answer. Let me give you a tip. Please remember such extreme words, absolute freedom kind of thing, from everything. Extreme words, not talked about in the passage. So this cannot be the answer. Cats no association with human being. Again, extreme. No association can't be said. Cat's loneliness, it comes out in these lines. So answer is option number C. Tyrannical means something cruel. So that is not in the passage, out of the context of the passage. So answer is option number C. Next, the line, but he never faltered and never once cried. He had nothing to gain from crying and everything to lose, suggests that cat is. It is about the characteristic of the cat. You can also say that it is also kind of functional question. So both the things coming together, it is given towards the last. Let us try to sum it up. But he never faltered and never once cried. He had nothing to gain from crying and everything to lose. The rapid would hear him crying and know he was waiting. The entire story is about cat waiting for rabbit to come out, and waiting as if with a lot of patience. So the last line talks about cat never faltered and never cried, because if the cat would cry, rabbit would come to know about it. So and cat is waiting for the entire thing. So what kind of attitude can we say? Reflective is a bit philosophical in nature, reflecting back on what has happened. Apologetic is feeling sorry for something, so that doesn't come out in these lines. And also the characteristic of the cat, what comes out is that cat has a lot of patience, so anything related to patience would have been a good choice. Anything related to smartness would have been a good choice. Anything which has a positive connotation would be a good choice. A and B are negative words. Resilient means somebody who has willpower to repeat the same thing, even if he fails. So this looks like a good choice, although ideal word is something like patience. Next is frustrated. So cat is not frustrated at all. This is opposite of the characteristic. Best available choice is option number C to me, and that's why I will mark C as the right answer. So that's it, guys. That's it from my side. Please remember, according to me, you can expect at least one passage on literary, with which we can call it as a literary passage based on the characters and the settings. So be comfortable with such passages. I will be coming up with more such videos on how to solve the reading comprehension passages. By that time, thank you.